It's easy when a container ship docks at the port of Tema in Ghana to see how recent investment has transformed West Africa's ports. And in local markets it's easy to see the flood of Chinese-made goods it's brought in. But the change is still more striking viewed from Jamestown Beach in Accra, which until the 1960s served as this area's makeshift port. My own grandfather brought ships here as a merchant seaman in the 1930s. He filmed it too, and what you can see here are the so-called surf boats that ferried goods to and from the ship. It was a labour-intensive, dangerous system. The port of Tema, near where I'm standing here in Accra, the capital of Ghana, is one of the most efficient in West Africa. It has large modern cranes and is more than capable of handling the big modern container ships that are increasingly coming here, especially from Asia. It's all the more impressive an achievement given that until 50 years ago, most of Accra's trade came to this beach via the kind of small boat you can see behind me here. Progress at Tema has speeded up since 2007, when the port's container operations were handed over to a consortium including France's Bolloré Group and APM Terminals, part of Denmark's Maersk Group. The terminal now has far more specialised equipment to handle containers. The problem now, according to one senior manager, is to keep pace with the breakneck trade growth.
The challenge is that one will need to invest in equipment and also getting more space because the growth is quite phenomenal. 20% growth just all of a sudden.
But better administration is needed as well as new machines. A few hundred miles east of Tema, at Nigeria's Tin Can Island container terminal, the tall stacks of containers testified to the continuing strain on this terminal, despite recent investment here. Operations manager Jan Magarian blames the poor infrastructure and customs bureaucracy in surrounding Lagos. Those mean dwell time, the time containers spend in the terminal, can be as high as 24 days.
There are not so many solutions. If you want to increase the capacity within the terminal, it's to reduce that dwell time, and then you increase the capacity. You increase the number of containers you will be able to discharge, because you will deliver more containers in the shortest time.
The cost of failing to keep pace with growth is on show outside APM Terminals Apapa, the Lagos area's busiest container terminal, where truck drivers complain of waits of up to 5 days to deliver boxes. Maersk Line, the world's biggest container line, says it is working with the terminal operator to find a resolution to the problem. Its WAFMAX ships, the biggest container ships ever to call at these ports, can drop off more than 1,000 containers per visit at Apapa. That's a far cry from the days when my grandfather watched peanuts loaded by hand and on young men's heads, bag by bag, in this port.
Well, if you look at our volumes year on year, it's about 50% growth, which of course is significant, and it's not unusual that you see, well, 50% might be unusual, but you often see 20, 25, 30%. That's of course positive for our business, but it's also a challenge for our customers because the whole infrastructure is a bit stressed.
Mr. Skov feels confident, nevertheless, that the improving ports and the bigger ships Maersk and its rivals have introduced are having a positive impact.
Well, I can tell you that this is creating a highway between Asia and Nigeria, which is extremely important because you see more and more of the containers coming from Asia. I think 50% of our imports alone is coming from China, for instance.
The growing number of dedicated container terminals in West Africa has puffed a new wind of efficiency into the region's shipping. The arrival of big new ships has added extra impetus to that process. The Maersk Conakry, where I'm standing now, can carry 12 times the amount of cargo that my grandfather's ship could in the 1930s. Yet the region's breakneck trade growth poses new challenges both for terminal operators and governments. Infrastructure, bureaucracy and terminals efficiency all need to be improved if the region's trade growth is not to be becalmed. Robert Wright, Financial Times, Port of Apapa.